welcome back. Here we are to continue our discussion of React and using the weather API to load some weather data. And in the previous video, we managed to get the weather data to load. And you can see I have it in the console here. I got an object. This is where the weather failed, and this is where the weather was successful, right? So it's working pretty good so far. We just actually have to get it to display on the page now. So how are we going to do that? Well, as in all things React, a part of the solution is usually making a component. So currently, I have this H1 down here where I want to display the temperature data, but I think that this is going to have to turn into its own component, right? Especially if we want to display anything more than just the temperature by itself, right? Let's give that a try for right now, though. So right now it looks like it wants temperature or data.temp to get the temperature. If I look at the object here, there is no temp property on here, right? It's kind of buried inside here. So if you go to main, you can do object.main.temp, right, to get the temperature, right? Actually, and then I'm getting the wrong unit too. It looks like standard. Let's switch this and see if that's working. I'm going to switch this to Fahrenheit and then do 9411010, and let's see what it says here, right? Oh yeah, 65 degrees. So actually, yeah, our unit is working there too. I forgot to test that earlier, and then it looked kind of weird, right? So anyway, that seems to be working. Okay, so this object right here is actually really hard to follow. Like there's a lot of stuff in here. It's kind of complicated. Why don't we rearrange it? So we'll have to know where everything is here in order to find the things that we want. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to make a new object here. So we've got our JSON source object here. But what I want to do is I want to create some new data. So I'm going to say const, how about weather equals, actually let's do it this way. Let's do temp equals json.main.temp. Okay? And then down here, let me actually move this up here, and then down here we're going to set the data, right? So I want to create a new object here, and my object will have a property called temp. And if the property name matches the name, the value, or the variable name, then we don't have to do :temp like this, right? This is the same thing. Okay, so we'll do that. Set data. Oh, I put set date here for some reason. Spelling error, right? Okay, there we go, right? So that's fixed. Okay, so I got the temp there. Let's give it a try. So what if I type in, we saw Burlingame was like 65 degrees. Let's do that again. 94010, standard, no wait, imperial 65.28. So indeed it's working, right? Okay, what other things can we get off of the weather data? So maybe we also want to get the feels like temperature, which is in main. So we got feels like, yeah, so, and it's spelled with an underscore. So we'll do const, I'm going to do it camel case here, and then do main dot feels underscore like, and then maybe I also want to get the description. Let's see, where's our description? So where is that here? Let's see. So I've got main feels like system. I think it's actually down here in this weather object. This one's a little weird because it's an array with one item in it, right? So that means that in order to get that guy, we need to do, let's do const description. I'm just going to put it short like that, and this is going to be JSON.weather, so that gets us to the array. And then I want to get the first item out of the array, and then I'm into this object here, and I want to get the description, few clouds. So I'll say dot description like this. And if I want to include my two new properties in my data here, then I can say feels like and description. Okay? Maybe this should be, maybe I should spell this out long. I don't know. Maybe that's better. Yeah, there we go, right? Okay. So, anyway, so now that we've got the data, we could display it here. Okay. Now, this becomes a problem because now I want to put a bunch more tags in there to display the data. Maybe they need some class names, maybe some other styles and things on them, right? So it's going to be hard to fit that in here, right? So our solution here is to make another component, right? So let's do that. Let's make a new file and call it weather display.js, right? Yeah, weather, did I spell that right? Okay. And then we'll make a new function here called weather display. Maybe it should have been display weather, I don't know. And then it will receive some props, right? Because that'll determine how and what we display, right? And then we'll return some stuff. So maybe we'll use a div here to get started. And then at the bottom, we'll export our component. It'll be the default export. Okay. And there we go. There's our new component there. And again, we can deconstruct. So maybe when we pass in props, we're going to get all the same things that we put on our weather object. So I'll set that up here. I'll say const, and then I'll do equals props, and we'll do temp, and feels like, feels list feels like, and description. Okay. And then we can display these things here. So maybe if I put an H1 here for the temperature, we can display the temp there. And then maybe underneath it, I can say, let's do small tag, and then we'll say feels like, and we'll put the feels like value here. Wait for element to be, why does it do that sometimes? I don't know. Okay, there we go, right? Okay. And then maybe we'll do a paragraph underneath that with the description, right? So we'll just do description here. There, so there's our new component, and we could build on this. Maybe give it a class name. Right, something like that, right? And now it's time to use this component. So I'm going to switch back to weather.js, and I'll import my weather display component. Import weather display from /weather display, right? And now we'll use this new component right here where we had the H1 previously, right? So I'll put it here, and actually I guess I gotta wrap it in the angle brackets there. There we go, so that's looking pretty good. Okay. And it says feels like right there, but we're not showing anything, right? Because we haven't actually passed in the props. And you could put the props here like this, right? And then do description equals and feels like equals, right? And that's getting pretty long, especially if we wanted to add more properties like, you know, wind speed and all the other things. But we have another shortcut here. So if you remember from the first project, we can actually take our data object and deconstruct it here. And so all of the properties that are in here will be added as props. And so that's just one line. And if I add more properties here, I don't have to make any changes here, right? And this gets all 3 of the current properties as it is. And if I add another one, then it'll be added here without me having to do any more work. So, so that's kind of a nice shortcut there. And then it keeps this part really clean and nice, right? So then if I look here, you can see it says 65 degrees, and my feels like is not showing up for some reason. Neither is that other one. Feels like temperature set. Let's refresh it and see what it says. So let's do 94122. Oh, there we go. Few clouds feels like 290. Oh, because I forgot to set the unit, right? Oh, 64.72 degrees feels like 64.2. Few clouds. Hey, the weather's really great today. So yeah, there we go. Let's see what's that in Celsius, right? 18. Okay, not bad. Few clouds. Okay. So anyway, so that got us pretty far there. We did a little bit of conditional rendering. We broke our project down into components. We loaded data with fetch. We used an asynchronous function, and we handled a promise with await. And maybe we're going to break that down later and dig into this promise, async, and await. Okay, but for right now, this gives us a pretty good starting point. My challenge for you now is to expand the weather display to display more of the properties that we got on this JSON object. So we received properties here on this JSON object, and there's a whole bunch of them, right? And so why don't you dig through this, find some properties that you want to display. It could be the name right here might be good. The wind speed might be a good one, right? Clouds, you know, longitude, latitude. This is the date time. It tells you when the temperature happened. You have to convert that to a date with the date object, right? So you could try that. You could also do the temp min, temp max, humidity, and pressure. So pick out a few of those properties, you know, pull them out here, add them to your data object, and then display them with the weather display component, okay? And then we also need to handle errors. So right now, if our, you know, if we give it an invalid zip code, like I just leave it blank and hit submit, you can see I'm going to get an error, right? So we're going to have to handle that gracefully too. So anyway, thanks for watching, and then there's a couple challenges for you to work on until the next video.